Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're tackling a fascinating subject, the Blizzard effect and the evolution and economics of Dairy Queen. I mean, we all know the logo, we all know the treats, right? But the business mechanics happening behind the scenes right now are incredibly revealing.
And that brings us directly to a burning question. Why are iconic Dairy Queen stores closing? If you've been following the news cycle, you've probably seen this trending hook about an impending wave of store closures projected for 2026. And look, this isn't just a simple case of a business slowing down. It's a complex economic mystery that we are going to solve together today. How on earth does a brand with such deep, nostalgic roots suddenly face a wave of local shutdowns?
Okay, so looking at this 2026 closure landscape, a really stark divide immediately pops up. On one side, you have the official corporate statements, projecting this confident path forward. But on the other side, you have the very real, on-the-ground realities of individual franchise owners who are literally fighting to keep their doors open. Local reporting paints a picture of a struggle that is highly regional and specific. We aren't looking at some massive corporate bankruptcy here. We're looking at incredibly targeted pressures hitting local franchisees. But, to truly grasp why these stores are closing today, we've got to rewind a bit. We need to look at the anatomy of an icon, because you really can't comprehend the unraveling of certain locations without first appreciating the sheer ingenuity of how this business was built from the ground up in the first place.
It all starts with a concept we completely take for granted: overrun. This is the exact food science process of pumping air into a frozen dessert. It creates that signature lighter texture, but brilliantly, and this is the key from a business perspective, it increases volume. The original founders didn't just open a shop, they capitalized on a revolutionary product where injecting air made it incredibly efficient and frankly, wildly profitable to produce.
The result of that science is actually pretty wild. If you look at the FDA standard for what can legally be called ice cream, it requires a higher fat content. Dairy Queen's soft serve, on the other hand, uses lower fat combined with that high overrun we just talked about. That is exactly why Dairy Queen's signature treat is technically not called ice cream in the US. But let's be honest, nobody buying a cone cared about FDA definitions. We just knew we loved that lighter, smoother texture, right?
And that scientific edge fueled an incredible march of progress. Opening its doors in 1940, the brand capitalized perfectly on the mid-century boom of highway culture and drive-ins. By the 1980s, they introduced a total game changer, the Blizzard. And by the 1990s, this little small-town soft-serve stand had grown into such a financial powerhouse that it was actually acquired by Berkshire Hathaway. Actually, let's pause on the 1980s for just a second, because the Blizzard, it literally changed everything. It shifted the company's entire trajectory. This wasn't just a fun new menu item. It became the defining anchor of their brand, completely changing what consumers came in to buy and totally transforming their revenue model.
So, why was it such a massive phenomenon? Well, standard dessert marketing relies entirely on visual appeal, maybe describing the flavor. But Dairy Queen utilized upside-down marketing, literally flipping the cup upside down right in front of the customer to prove its structural integrity. It is brilliant marketing psychology, and yeah, probably a slightly terrifying performance for the teenager behind the counter. It acts as a built-in guarantee of quality that just became a massive hit with consumers.
Naturally, that kind of innovation catches the attention of some pretty serious investors. And that leads us to the Berkshire Hathaway era. Led by Warren Buffett, who, by the way, is famous for his love of sweet treats, this acquisition brought an entirely new level of corporate rigor to the mid-century brand. It kicked off a shift in underlying business strategy, a renewed focus on aggressive international expansion, and of course, entirely new, evolving investor expectations.
To put that global ambition into perspective, just look at their largest international markets. Over in China, the strategic focus has been all about aggressive footprint expansion. Up north in Canada, they're capitalizing on incredibly deep brand loyalty. And in the Middle East, they're actively adapting their menu to drive global growth. The whole appeal of the Dairy Queen model successfully translated way, way beyond American highways.
All right, so despite this massive global footprint and all this historic success, we need to forcefully shift back to the present day to examine the economics behind the closures. We really need to analyze the specific data-driven factors that are currently dismantling parts of this nostalgic empire right here at home. 2026. Keep that number right in the front of your mind. This isn't some vague future projection. This represents the harsh, modern economic pressures facing local fast food franchisees right now, resulting in those exact closures we're seeing trend in the news cycle.
Let's look at exactly what is causing this. The root cause here is a perfect storm of compounding pressures on franchisees. It's almost never just one thing. It's the brutal combination of surging inflation driving up the cost of goods, skyrocketing commercial rent, and severe local labor shortages making it incredibly tough to staff the stores. On top of that, operating out of older locations means the sheer cost of maintaining aging buildings is just eating away at margins. Add in ongoing franchise disputes over operational costs, and you have a stark, difficult reality that heavily contrasts with those warm, fuzzy memories consumers hold of the brand. And, if internal pressures weren't enough, franchisees are fighting a battle on the outside, trying to survive modern fast food wars. The competitive landscape has fundamentally shifted, and surviving today means fighting a much, much more complex battle for your dessert dollar. Look, Dairy Queen has always fought legacy competitors. McDonald's, the Wendy's Frosty, Sonic, your local mom-and-pop ice cream shops. But today they face fierce modern rivals. You've got Chick-fil-A's rapidly expanding dessert menu, Culver's premium frozen custard, and Shake Shack's high-end shakes. Pitting Dairy Queen's traditional model against these modern heavyweights shows you exactly why consumer attention and spending is just so much harder to capture today. The standard has simply been raised. So how in the world do they survive this? Shaping the future of Dairy Queen is going to rely entirely on technological and operational adaptation. This means seamlessly integrating digital ordering, optimizing for modern delivery with new mobile apps, and rolling out store designs that are cheaper to maintain and better suited for pickup, all while keeping up the kind of menu innovation that brought us the blizzard in the first place. Which leaves us with one absolutely critical question to wrap things up. Can Dairy Queen successfully adapt its nostalgic small-town model for a digital delivery-first future? I mean, they've got the backing of Berkshire Hathaway and a globally recognized product rooted in brilliant food science. But those compounding economic pressures of labor, rent, and fierce new competition, those are undeniable. The 2026 closures definitely aren't the end of the brand, but they are a massive stress test. What you should take away from this explainer is that in modern economics, even the sweetest nostalgia has to balance the books. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and keep questioning the business behind the brands you love.